Once, many years ago, in the heart of Ghana, where the ancient baobab trees stand tall and the rivers hum their eternal songs, there was a village surrounded by mystery. This was not an ordinary village. Folklore told of prosperous people who once lived there, a community so blessed by nature that their crops never failed, their pots were always full, and their children's laughter could echo for miles. But now, the village was gone. Not a single soul, not a single building remained. All that was left was its name whispered cautiously in markets and by firesides, Abanze, the lost village. And friends, before we uncover the mystery of the river god and this vanished village, I'd love for you to join our storytelling family. Subscribe to Storytime Africa so you never miss out on the incredible tales we share from across the continent. These stories are for you, the dreamers, the believers, and lovers of tradition. Now let us return to our tale. Kojo had heard these stories all his life. As a young boy in his own village, he would sit cross-legged by the fire, his skin glowing from the flickering flames, his heart beating faster with every tale. The old women told him never to go near the river Ankobra, for it was said that the river guarded secrets. They whispered how the river god of Ankobra did not take kindly to trespassers. Some said she was a beautiful maiden with hair like flowing water. Others believed she was a wrathful force, best left undisturbed. But Kojo, now a young fisher with shoulders broad like his father's and curiosity sharper than most, didn't believe any of it.
How can a river hide a whole village?
He would say, shaking his head at the fisherman's stories as he spread his nets under the Ghanaian sun.
Perhaps it's just fear that kept people away from these waters.
But one evening, as the sun dipped low over the horizon and coated the sky in shades of gold and crimson, something unusual happened. Kojo noticed how the waters of the river Ankobra seemed to shift. In the dimming light, the surface shimmered as though illuminated from below. And then, for just a moment, he thought he heard a soft voice calling his name, Kojo. He froze, his heart racing. But when he looked around, the riverbank was silent, except for the crickets and the distant chatter of villagers preparing for the night. He brushed the moment aside as his imagination playing tricks on him, yet he couldn't shake a creeping feeling. Why had the river called to him? The next day, Kojo decided he couldn't let it go. Armed with only his nets and his courage, he headed out before dawn. In the glow of the moonlight, he paddled his small wooden canoe into the depths of the river. Around him, the air was thick with quiet. The smell of damp earth filled his nostrils, and somewhere nearby, a frog croaked once, then was silent. His body stiffened when he thought of all the warnings he'd ignored. What if the river god was real? What if Abanze's curse was alive? Paddling further, Kojo suddenly felt his canoe halt. The waters beneath hardened, refusing to let him move forward. "What manner of sorcery is this?" he whispered. He leaned over the side, trying to see into the water, but all he could see was the moon's eerie glow reflecting back at him. Then it happened. The river became alive. Waves rippled in a rhythmic pulse, as though the river itself had a heartbeat. The air turned cold, and a mist rose around him. And then, amidst the swirling fog, she appeared. The river god was unlike anything Kojo had imagined. Her form was both human and river. Her hair cascaded like waterfalls, shimmering with droplets that reflected every color of the rainbow. Her skin was smooth and dark as the earth after the rains, and her eyes, a deep emerald green, pierced him to his core.
Kojo, you have come searching.
Kojo wanted to speak, but no sound escaped his lips. He nodded, trembling but unable to look away. "The village you seek did not vanish," the river god continued. She raised her arm, and suddenly, images danced upon the river's surface. For a moment, Kojo could see Abanze. He saw its huts made of clay and thatched roofs, its women pounding fufu under the shady mango trees, and its children running barefoot, their joy echoing in the air. But then he saw their greed. the way they began to take too much from the river, polluting its waters, refusing to give thanks to nature. They had forgotten the balance their ancestors had honored. To protect the river, I had no choice but to reclaim what was mine, she explained, her voice sorrowful but firm. The village lies beneath Ankobra now, kept in eternal slumber. But why call me? Kojo finally found his voice, his words trembling like his hands. What can I do? You are not like them, she said, her emerald eyes softening. For you still hear the river's voice. You still respect her ways. Leave here now, Kojo, and tell your people this. The river does not exist for us to conquer. She feeds us, she cleanses us, but she must also be honored. For if there is no balance, more villages will be lost. Kojo nodded, tears welling in his eyes. He felt a strange peace, as though the river herself had wrapped him in an invisible embrace. He silently promised to spread her warning, to teach his people the lessons of Abanze. As the mist faded and the dawn began to rise, Kojo paddled back to shore, the memory of the river god etched deeply into his heart. From that day, he became the village storyteller, sharing the secrets of Ankobra with anyone who would listen, his voice a bridge between the people and their river. And so, dear friend, if you're hearing this story today, remember the wisdom of the river god. Nature will always keep her balance. Let us never forget the harmony that sustains us all. If you enjoyed this tale, make sure to subscribe to Storytime Africa to hear more enchanting stories from the heart of our continent. Your journey into Africa's soul is only just beginning. Until next time, keep the stories alive.